Hey everyone, welcome back to Evony with Genghis. Got a few things to discuss today. One is spending being down. I got proof. I got images of this event versus other events in the past. Also, there is an excellent podcast series on NPR. Part 1 was dropped today. It was in my Discord, a lot of discussion about it, so I wanted to play it here and discuss it with a little bit of relating it to Evony. The basic of it is how the gaming industry has changed, and people really don't pay upfront for a game anymore, like a video game you insert into your PlayStation, but you basically pay as you go along for different things for your character and how it becomes predatory and that sort of stuff, relating it to Evony. And then the other thing, Aptoide code out this weekend, Evony1. You can see it across the top of the screen. It will get you an extra 5% on all your in-game purchases. Please use it, support the channel. It will be active 24 hours before SVS and end at SVS. So let's get to it. So first off, this keep is available if you spend money. And if you spend to the highest tier, you get to use this in Battlefield or in Shalons, which is also a Battlefield All-Stars. And you can help your teammates, right, by using the attributes. So let's get to the event where you win this. And this is how we can actually do a direct comparison. So Dreamland event. You can see there is 6 days left at the top of the screen here. Right here, 6 days. And I have images of the last time this came out. So this is something that comes out every few months for Evony. And it's seen as like a major event, a major spending incentive for players. And let's look at it. So we can actually do a very good comparison because this is the same grouping I have all the time for spending. I'm always against these same servers, and we can do a comparison and see who's spending. The depth of the spending I've also saved. So this is 6 days left. And I luckily, when I saved images from last time, the Napoleon event, which arguably this is a better city. It's got the siege attack that people really covet. And this is something people would really want. So luckily, I saved images with the same amount. So if we look here, this one has 8 days remaining. And it's already at 102,000. There's basically 3 people that would almost be in first place. So if we go to one, this is basically 2 days left, and then this is a day and a half left. And you could see like 110 million with a day and 19 hours, and then 160 million. This one also with the same thing. The best comparison right here is the 8-day mark, and it's just crushing it. Basically probably double what this one is at, because this one has 2 extra days. And so anyways, let's get to the NPR video. Just wanted to show you guys a little bit about that. It'll be very interesting to see where the scores end up, because I'm expecting the cultural city will be awesome, right? Like the Napoleon one had the 50% in city, and the way this game goes, you got to keep raising the bar. You cannot give people less than what they got last time, because people won't pay for it. That's the whole reason why these packs have 75% now, 1,000%. And in a year, they're going to say 97,500. You have to keep going up to incentivize people to spend. And especially new servers, right? They got to catch up. So let's get to it.
We were desperate. We had to make a paycheck for our team that month. And if we didn't have a way to support ourselves, it was all going to collapse. Rebecca is a creative director at the games developer Digital Extremes. And the company was kind of like a band that had spent years toiling away on a beautifully orchestrated album. And now no labels wanted to have them. So Digital Extremes went indie. They self-published this game called Warframe. The thing is known as the live service model, a game that's like a living creature. You play online, often for free, and the game gets constantly updated, funded by in-game purchases, that in-game currency. Fortnite is one particularly successful example. And to kick it off, games where the U.S. government
The socially awkward kid.
Questions, these icons, Venus, a planet you know, but it looks a little wrong, like maybe you're in the far future. Your character, you can't see his face. They're helmets, they're muscular, and then you pull out a katana that is glowing, and you start slicing through robots, and that's warfare. Just like a regular Friday night for me.
You and your katana blade. I'm slightly scared now, Waylon.
Oh, you should be. In 2012, when Rebecca's company decided to release Warframe through this relatively new live service model, she was scrambling. Someone had to learn really quickly how to self-publish a game with web infrastructure, community infrastructure, support infrastructure, and that was my role at the time. That meant servers, round-the-clock chat, and ways to accept payments inside the game.
You're almost like building the plane as it's running. Like
That is exactly what happened. None of us knew what we were doing, but we didn't know what we were doing together, so we all would compensate for someone else's lack of expertise, I'll say. And she sought help from players of the game. Rebecca thought that there needed to be a feature for players to give ideas for updates. And this kind of player feedback was critical, especially when dealing with the sensitive issue of money.
So, in the game, maybe you could pay real dollars for a new sword that gives strange new powers. Or you could buy a special character who controls fire. Rebecca thinks back to this one particular purchase option that backfired.
A player could spend $1, let's say, to double the strength of their character. And then players got really mad.
Players didn't like that there was only one way to unlock this better perk. It felt unequal, unsportsmanlike.
So that's pretty funny. So you could pay to upgrade your character. Obviously not $1. That was just an example. But imagine a game that actually listens to their players. Evony, like they know that people are absolutely frustrated with how much it costs to do things in game, but they don't care. They are at the fortunate position where they don't have to care. They have become ultra successful, and they basically right now are just walking on water, able to do whatever they want. Now, later in the podcast, they're going to talk about when you push it too far with money, how it backfires. And that's something that we could all relate to with Evony. I think it's starting to backfire, and it happens slowly and then really, really quickly, right? That's how people go broke in life. Started to lose a little bit of money at first, spending started to get a little bit out of control, and then all of a sudden really out of control.
And so they gave players a way to do the same thing, but for free.
And this ability to change paths is the advantage of a live service model game. You don't need to spend years working on an update and hoping players will like it. You can be constantly tweaking and iterating. This means that Rebecca is in constant dialogue with players. For 11 years, once a month at least, we've sat on the couch doing developer live streams. Hello, and welcome to DevStream 152, or Home Dev. And kind of cracked open a beer and been like, hey, we know we screwed up with this decision, but we're going to change it in the next update. See you next month for more news. And why?
That's hilarious. So, first of all, I love that they have a grinded out option, right? Evony used to have that. Nothing was behind a paywall. It just took time. You had to log in more often than the person who spent money. And then I like how they have the developer call where they actually say, oh, we noticed we made some mistakes. We're going to make corrections. As opposed to Evony's ultra successful game model where they don't have to care. And it immediately made me think of Purple Senate Generals. We made a mistake and we're just going to change it exactly how we want to without your opinion. Rather than just saying like, oh, you guys liked this? Really? This is cool? You guys are actually happy about this? Keep it, and we'll just introduce a new way to go into your pockets and get money, rather than take away this thing that you actually liked accidentally that may have created a little bit of goodwill and happiness in the game.
Adding features, the company noticed one paid category was taking off, changing your appearance. They added more ways to pay for this, and this is in a way that doesn't affect gameplay at all. It's just what players think looks cool. The term for this is cosmetics. We didn't have a lot of cosmetics initially, but when we started adding things like scarves or alternate helmets or a total reskin, so your character that looks like a fire wizard now looks like a phoenix. Those are the types of things that really do impact our ability to be a stable place that can have a payroll department.
Pretty scarves or helmets might seem kind of trivial, but for a lot of games, cosmetics are one of the biggest sources of revenue.
And that revenue comes from just a few players. In Warframe's case, only about 10% of Warframe's players pay anything at all. In the gaming community, the top spenders are called whales. They sustain this large, ongoing production team, which can be expensive. Jason Schreier is a reporter on gaming at Bloomberg News.
We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars to make these games. This is like a blockbuster.
I was desperately looking for this keep. The cosmetic thing that does nothing. It reminded me so much of this. I bet this was one of Evony's biggest ticket items that they ever sold. Like, obviously it didn't make that much money because it wasn't a full cake thing. But this was in like Dawn of Civilizations or something like that. And you had to pay like $10 or $15 to earn it. And I bet this was something that they do track things like new spenders. Right? So not just the same people spending all the time. Games do keep track of, oh, we finally got into that guy's wallet. What else can we do to get into their wallet?
The movie. I mean, way more expensive than a blockbuster movie when you account for marketing and such. I mean, we're seeing some games that are really taking, $500 million to make. So that's on the expenses side. And on the revenue side, there is this advantage. Money comes in more consistently, or at least in theory. Warner Brothers Discovery publishes games like Hogwarts Legacy and Mortal Kombat. And this year, its boss said that they want to lean more into live service games because it reduces volatility for the company. That said, they have one title that is doing particularly poorly at the moment. That is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
And that might speak to a growing fatigue with live service games from gamers. Maybe because there's only so many hours in the day to play these ever-evolving games.
The problem is that each time a game comes out and it's kind of existing on the market forever, it's just more competition that never goes away. And so you get to this point that we're at now where the market is totally oversaturated with these live service games.
In fact, Jason sees signs of a consolidation in the industry, with recent layoffs from companies like Epic Games and Riot Games.
Rebecca says criticisms of the live service model are fair, especially when these games haven't been done well by companies simply trying to make money. And she explains it like this. Think about other types of games. You might pay $80 and that's all the company will ever get from you.
But for a free-to-play game, there is no limit. Like, if I look at my lifetime spend in Warframe, the game I make, I have spent over $1,000 in my own game.
That's hilarious. She spent $1,000 on her own game. Imagine if they knew how much people spent on Evony. I wonder if they actually know. We should reach out, let them know in the comments, or let them know how much money actually goes into this one game per player.
So
You don't get like the staff discount card?
no, I really try and deal with it raw. So if you're a business person and if you only care about the bottom line, you're going to try and figure out a way to raise the ceiling on how much a single person can spend on your game. And I believe a lot of gamers can smell when that is happening.
And the Federal Trade Commission is sniffing out when that monetization becomes outright predatory. In 2022, the FTC accused Epic Games, the maker of Fortnite, of tricking users into paying money inside the game. Epic Games agreed to pay $245 million in refunds.
So there's going to be future parts to this series. Very, very excited to hear about it. I loved one little thing there that she said, if you didn't pick up on it, gamers can smell. So she didn't want to give herself free currency in the game because gamers could smell an advantage. People in Evony have been saying this for years. Man, I think that's a developer on my server. There's no proof Evony's ever done it. I don't honestly think they're doing it now. I think they're so successful, they don't need to take that risk. But very interesting that she, as a developer, talked about that a little bit. Hopefully they dive into that a little bit more in the next episode. I'll post the link to this in the description to the video. Be sure to check it out and leave them some comments. Like, subscribe, leave a comment.